Welcome. In this video, we're going to cover using the FastTrack tool in Moncito to review a bunch of common links on your website to quickly be able to mark a whole bunch of pages for a particular link as reviewed. One of the common problems we hear is the same error shows up on all 800 pages of our website, and I have to click on every single or mark every single one of those pages and that hyperlink as reviewed, and it takes a while to do it. So in this recording, we're going to cover using the FastTrack feature, and in particular using it for things like marking some of the review items that are in your main navigation or your footer that are on every single page, and so they show up and greatly impact your score because that link is on every page of your website. So I'm already logged into Acquia Optimize, or what used to be called Moncito, and I'm on the Showcase website. And as you can see here, we've got a fairly low accessibility score that we've got to work on. With level A compliance checks, I've got about 39 different items across all of the pages on this site, 775 pages with failing checks. So a lot of pages to scan, a lot of items that are on each of those pages. Over here on the left, and I did start off on the accessibility dashboard, not the main site dashboard, but over here on the left is our FastTrack link. And so I'm going to click on FastTrack, and you'll see there's a whole bunch of different items here that I can use FastTrack for. It's sorted by what, if you fixed all of the items in that particular FastTrack, how much it would improve your score. I'm not going to cover all these. I'm just going to pick one in particular to make it easy. So we have a main menu item on our site, on the Showcase website, called Completed Sites. It's a hyperlink to the Completed Sites page, and it has pictures of all of the sites that are on our platform. That hyperlink, though, just that hyperlink, which this is the code snippet that it's showing here, shows up on 775 pages. And it has all of these items, which aren't necessarily problems. They're things that need to be reviewed to make sure they're not problems, including the very first one, which is what we're going to discuss today. Is the link text meaningful when read out of context? On this screen, because I'm in the FastTrack and I'm talking about fixing just this code snippet and any of the different issues that may relate to that code snippet, I can quickly go through and mark something as reviewed, and it will mark that code snippet for this item reviewed across all 775 pages. So it's rather quick to get through. And if I were to review each one of these items and mark them as reviewed, my overall score would go up about 1.1%. Now, some of these things are not items that just have to be reviewed, and they're most likely things that actually do need to be fixed. So I don't want to mark those as reviewed. My overall score is not going to go up to 1.1%, but for things like just marking them all as reviewed all at once, it works very helpful. For example, the link text color must contrast sufficiently with its background color. You'll notice this one is appearing on 4 pages where there's a problem, not all of them. And that tells me one of two things. Either this was previously marked as reviewed across all pages, and 4 new pages have been added that weren't marked, and so maybe it is good, or those 4 pages have a different background color, and I may actually have a problem I need to fix. So I don't want to just blindly mark this as reviewed. But for this very first one, where it says link text is meaningful when read out of context, the link text here is called Completed Sites. I told you earlier what it actually was, but if you were to read or hear through a screen reader just the term Completed Sites, does that make sense? Is that enough context? On the page, you'll likely have a lot of other text surrounding the hyperlink that provides additional context. Because this is a menu item, it almost always actually makes sense. It's meaningful just on its own. I know that if I click that link, I will get to a page that has to do with completed sites. So I can go ahead, click the action item, click review. I can add my reason. This is optional, but it is helpful when you're reviewing things that you put a note there. For purposes of keeping this training going, I'm not going to do that today, but we always recommend adding notes while you're doing it. So I've marked this now as reviewed, and you'll notice that's now gone, and it's been fixed on all 775 pages. If I were to continue to go through here and for each one of these things, evaluate them, make sure that, okay, is our link text color good, etc., I'd be able to mark all of these. So what I would do in this case, does the visited link text color contrast significantly with the background color? To do that, I really need to open up an example. And that's the second action item that's showing up here. So this is our showcase site. And if I had a visited link, does that provide enough background? So here's our completed sites link. I'm going to click on it. And this has already been visited. On this particular site, there is no separate visited link color from the primary link color. And so the contrast there, now that it's a visited page, that contrast does meet the contrast requirements. So I will switch back over here, and my visited text link color, I can now mark it as reviewed. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and add in the text verified, no, or I should say verified visited link text color is the same as primary link text color and has sufficient contrast. Sorry, I'm not as fast as typer when I'm talking, but I'll just add that note, and it's been there, and now that one has been fixed. Now that I've fixed two of those, if you have an eagle eye, you probably noticed that the effect on my overall score has been slightly going down. So if I were to continue going through each of these FastTrack items just for completed sites, my overall score, this effect would gradually go down, but of course my overall score is also going down. The other approach you can take, instead of trying to do all 6 or 8 of these review items for one of your menu links at a time, is to just go through each of the menu links rather quickly. We know resources, we feel comfortable with text is meaningful. When read out of context, that's going to go to a page with resources. And so I can mark this one as reviewed. I will skip it. I can switch to my themes. That's a page that's going to give me themes. And I can, that same item is there, and I know it looks good, so I'm going to click Mark as Reviewed. And so that way, instead of trying to get all of those on one at a time, instead I'm doing one text across each of these major pages that cause a problem. So this accessibility FastTrack can be very useful for quickly getting things going. Now, if you've got a large site like we do with a ton of pages, you're probably initially going to feel a little bit disheartened when you see your overall accessibility score. That's primarily because there is a lot of items that have to be reviewed, and those items appear on a lot of pages. So by going through, making gradual progress over time, you'll be able to get your score up, and which makes it a lot more exciting when you see that score up. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any technology questions, please open up a ticket within the Employee Service Center for ASET. If you have questions about how to use the optimized tool or accessibility questions, go ahead and use the contact support button directly within the optimized tool. Thanks for your time today.